We are now moving on to Belgium, the mutant of Europe, as we'll see. Very different styles. Anyway, we are starting with the southern part of Belgium, Wallonia, the French-speaking. So obviously we're going to see a lot of French influences. This is a suburb, actually. I think I don't know whose location this is.
Mine.
Might be GCs then.
I think it's probably GCC. Yeah. But this is like a more upscale Belgian suburb. What you see a lot of here is a combination of black roofs and bricks, which is something we haven't really seen before that much. So this is definitely one feature that stands out here.
Also, the black wood is kind of interesting.
Oh yeah. Here. Yeah. Definitely. I actually have a special location for that, so we're gonna come back to that. Definitely. On this house is actually, hold on. I'm trying to find a better view in one of these houses. Probably not gonna find it, but anyway, one feature I wanted to point out here is these stone awnings around the windows, like sticking out of the brick or the facade where the color is. That's a very southern Belgian thing. You see that in Luxembourg as well, but also very prevalent in southern Belgium. It's like stone, like gray stone or sandstone, that kind of thing. Very common in Belgium, especially on older houses. Yeah.
And it's just simple like that, just like a square or rectangle like that.
Sometimes it can be a little more intricate around the top or around the bottom. It's usually not too intricate, but it can be a little more decorative. I think let's see examples like that in future locations. So yeah, let's move on to, this is going to be a Wallonian urban location. So once again, it isn't Charleroi. I'm not even gonna try. It's like the biggest city in Wallonia. Not very rich, as we can probably see here. But what difference stands out here is the darker brick color here. That we can see. It's like a combination of brick and white buildings. Yeah, also this black cladding here. Another thing pointing out to like southern Belgium. This location has a couple of different things I want to point out. First of all, it's the window styles. You have this triple divided window. It's extremely common across Belgium, like not just the southern part, the entire country. So if you see this like triple divided window in combination with bricks, that's a pretty good hint that you're in Belgium. Like obviously these kind of windows are common everywhere in Europe, especially in the east, but with the bricks like that, not so much. And another very common Belgian window type is this one, this triple divided with the white bit at the top. Once again, this is very common across Europe, but like within this North Sea space, it's super common in urban Belgium. So those are the two I wanted to kind of point out. Yeah. What else to mention here apart from the cladding and the bricks and the windows? Reducem, what?
True that is it true that like the French part of Belgium is considered like poorer than the Dutch part?
Yes.
Like the houses are a lot more run down.
Yes, it is. You see that a lot, especially in these like old industrial centers like Charleroi here. It used to be like one of the earliest centers of industrialization in Europe, and then it went completely belly up in like the 60s to the 80s, and now it's really struggling in a lot of regions, and causes a lot of tension in the country because like like Wallonia is stereotyped in the north, like in Flanders, as like takers and leeches and stuff. So yeah, it's a bit tough. But as for Geoguessr, you can definitely notice that it's a lot less like nicely maintained than some northern neighborhoods. Like the houses are very blackened. You have these windows obviously haven't been painted in a while. Yeah, as you said, it does have a lot more rundown look.
Okay.
Yeah, and another feature I can that strikes me here is these white bricks, white features around the windows. It's something they like to do in like in this whole area. In it's very common in the Netherlands as well, but also obviously in Belgium. With these around the windows, these geometric shapes all over below the windows. They really try to play with it, try to be as fancy as possible without being very expensive. Especially this bit up here on this house, just like one on the left, one in the middle, and one on the right. That's something I see like stereotypically Belgian or southern Dutch or like northeastern France. It's a little bit of an obscure one though. Strike point here. Anything you guys would add here that I forgot to mention?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, you can also see a bit of the stone awnings I was talking about earlier on this house. Okay, let's move on. I really need to try to be a little bit faster on these. Otherwise we'll be here till the morning. Okay, this is a village very far in the south in Wallonia.
This one looks a lot like Luxembourg, kind of.
Yeah, it is pretty close to Luxembourg actually.
This
Yeah.
would definitely be something I might confuse for Luxembourg, especially with the Gen 2.
Yeah, definitely. I think the main thing that stands out from Luxembourg here is first of all the house colors. Like this is just all stone. It's like this very honey colored stone, which is pretty atypical for this area, to be honest. But it's still not just like featured around the windows like you would see in Luxembourg, but it's like entire houses. Like in Luxembourg, most of these houses will be painted like white or yellow or like bright colors. It's just all stone. And another thing is the shutters. Once again, you can see shutters in Luxembourg differently, but it's definitely not really common. It's a lot more common to see shutters in like southern Belgium. Like basically the closer you get to France, the more shutters you see. Yeah.
And I see some more of those things around the windows.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you can see the stone awnings here. It's like one or it basically looks like one solitary black block of stone around every window. Here it looks pretty plain once again. I can look around a bit more if you can see something a little more elaborate. Not really. It's usually just this the lining around the windows, but it can get a little bit more elaborate as well. I guess we'll see more in Luxembourg. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, here we go. This is what I would consider a lot more Luxembourgish in style. With just the stone awnings around the windows and the color otherwise. But it's a lot more elaborate here, as you can see.
Yeah, the pastel white with that mustard color just makes me think of Luxembourg.
Yeah, if this was like an NPC, yeah, this was all we could see. I would definitely not hesitate to guess Luxembourg here. But if you could scroll around, I saw the shutters everywhere. I would switch to Belgium for sure. Yeah, so I think the awnings and the shutters are the most important things to make sure here. If you like a combination of those two, it's probably southern Belgium. Also have the French style mansard here. So a good hint you're in like a French influenced area. Okay, let's move on. Now we are going to the German-speaking area of Belgium, which a lot of people don't actually know exists. It's like a small corner in the northeast of Wallonia. They actually have their own parliament and everything. It typically looks pretty similar to the rest of Wallonia, to be honest. Not a lot of obvious differences I could find, but one other thing that I think is a lot more common here than in other parts of Belgium is this black cladding of on the houses. Like typically, it can be like blanks like this, but it can also be like a little bits of wood like stacked all over. And you'll see it on farmhouses or on other buildings as well. Especially combined with the stone look. It's just something that that always reminds me of like this German-speaking part when I see it in Belgium.
Mhm.
It's a little bit more obscure, I guess. It's a little bit of a shame we don't have Germany on Geoguessr, because this is something you see a lot in like Rhineland or that whole area on older buildings. Like one side of the building is gonna be covered with like black cladding. I don't actually know why they do it. I think it's like a protection against wind and snow, but I don't know if they ever had like that harsh winters in this area. Yeah, so no clue.
Yeah, and why black though? It's kind of strange.
Yeah, might have been like a cheap material back then, or it could be slate or something like that. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just something I wanted to briefly mention. And here we have one last Vallonian location, which is going to be a village. And once again, but you can see a lot of exposed stone, which is definitely contrasting a lot with the brick you would see further north. But you can also see some brick here. Yeah, but if you have like exposed stone, you're probably gonna be in Wallonia instead of Flanders. You have these stone awnings once again. What else did I want to mention here? Oh yeah, let's move to this house here. Something about like southern Belgium is that the houses typically tend to be like facing the street on the broad side, and have like this huge like they kind of get rid of partially here, but you have this like huge and tall entrance for like carts and stuff, and it's all higher than the other windows. It basically dominates the entrance to the house. I think we're gonna see a better example of this elsewhere, but definitely it's something I wanted to mention because it's a pretty striking feature once you start to recognize it, and it's very typical for like southern Belgium, that whole area. I'm trying to find a better example here. Yeah, like here, for example. It's like a huge entrance that's higher than the other two floors of the house. Once again, you can see all the awnings. You can see the like typical Belgian style of windows in this house. Yeah. Do you guys have something to add?
Nope.
No.
Okay, nice. Relax, can we go to bed? Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to cut this in half. I had no idea this would take so long.
I think a good place to cut it would be after Netherlands.
Yeah, we're gonna do Luxembourg and Netherlands, and then we're gonna cut it and do Northern Europe next. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was probably way too ambitious to try to merge those together. Yeah,
It's the same on fucking streams. We're usually way too ambitious.
Yeah, yeah. All right, and now that we're done with Wallonia, we can move over to Flanders, which is the northern part of Belgium, the Dutch-speaking part. And this is a small town. It's like a main street of a small town, and immediately you'll probably see the difference from the locations we've seen before, and there's a lot more brick here. Like you obviously see some houses that are like white or tan here, but it's mostly brick and white windows. Another thing I want to point out is these, like, again, these triple divided windows everywhere. That's a main feature of like that's a main feature that distinguishes this from example from the Netherlands. This was really rare around there. And you can see a lot more like brick combined with white elements, like you saw in the UK.
One building that really strikes me as Belgian is if you go down to west, that one that's like brick with the really bright red roof. West. Yeah, that way. On the north side.
This one?
There's quite a few actually with the like, they're like red brick, but then they also have a red roof, like this like bright red roof.
Oh
That's
yeah,
just
yeah.
that I really associate with Belgium when I see it.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually. Like you very rarely see black roofs in northern Belgium. You can see them sometimes, like for example on this house, but like I would say like 80% of houses have red roofs. So that's a good tip, definitely. Yeah, I don't know what else I would add here. Do you guys have any ideas or something that stands out to you?
See a lot of like similar streets in the Netherlands. So, but yeah, the kind of mixed architecture, like the different mixtures of styles, I associate a lot with Belgium.
Yeah. The thing about the Netherlands is that the construction there used to be a lot more like unitary, like from the
Yeah.
old like apartment blocks and developments in the 19th century. It used to be you usually have like big blocks of row houses, and entire neighborhoods. It looks more or less the same up to like present times with the Phoenix developments, that once again huge blocks of houses that look exactly the same. Belgium was always a lot more like, I don't know, liberal in this regard. Everybody can just build whatever house they wanted, and the results weren't exactly great, I would say, but you know, it is what it is. And yeah, as you said, you can see a lot more diversity on an average Belgian main street. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next location, which is a big city in Flanders. Well, not a big city, but it's like a lot more urban. This is, I think, a suburb of Antwerp. As you can see, it is, as Simerodge mentioned at the beginning, this looks a lot neater than the Charleroi location we saw. The bricks used here are generally like a brighter or lighter color than down south. Once again, you can see a lot of triple divided windows, like here, here. Everything, basically everything is one story. That's another thing about Belgium. Like basically, until you reach like inner centers, virtually everything is one story, from like really rural farmhouses to these like inner suburbs. I don't know why they don't go higher, but they basically never do, which is like interesting to me. But anyway, yeah, once again you have these white triple divided windows, lots and lots of bricks. A lot of diversity in these houses as well. Something that stands out to you guys?
Not really. It's just the generic Belgian architecture that I would definitely go Belgium here.
Yeah, this is definitely like quintessential Belgium. Like, what would differentiate this from a typical Dutch street would definitely be the windows, since these kind of real wide triple divided windows basically don't appear in the Netherlands, and they tend to go tall rather than wide when it comes to windows, and also the diversity in terms of like height and brick color and window style. That's definitely more of a Belgium thing. Yeah. Oh, actually, around here you can see. I'm not. I blurred out the house, and actually didn't blur it again on the new coverage. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on. This is gonna be a Flemish farmhouse, so it's like very rural northern Belgium. This is very close to the border with Netherlands, actually. You can see here, this is actually one story, which is kind of an indicator you are close to the Netherlands. Also, you can see brick. You can see some shutters, but not the French style of shutters, but like these more complicated ones and in like gray color. Mm. I don't know what else to say about this much. What do you guys think?
I like the house, it's pretty. I'd live there.
It is quite pretty,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a lot
Yeah.
prettier than the average Belgian house. I think
Mhm.
that's either there's even like a Tumblr called Ugly Belgian Houses. It gets really popular. Yeah. And finally, for Belgium, we have a big city urban location in Brussels, which is like the dividing line between Flanders and Wallonia. So you have all the trends and influences mixing together. It used to be historically a lot more Dutch, so it's like the whole building style. It's a little bit more Dutch than like French influence, but you see here, a lot less brick than you would see more to the north, like in Antwerp. A lot more white, like which would like white and tan colors, which would fit more with French architecture. But also these windows, triple divided. But you can also see some brick elements here. And even some stone awnings around there. This would be probably like the best indicator you are in Belgium or somewhere around there. These stone awnings.
Mhm.
Do you guys see anything else that stands out to you?
No.
No.
Okay, so cool. Yeah, that was Belgium. And we are gonna move on to Luxembourg now, which should be pretty quick because it's a real small country. Not a lot of variation there. So what I've prepared here is a typical village you would see. Probably if you spawn in Luxembourg and go down any side any direction, you'll reach a village like this in like 30 seconds. So the most common features I would point out here are definitely black roofs, slate roofs. Virtually every house in Luxembourg has a black roof, unlike Belgium, which, as you saw, has a more of a combination of like black and red roofs. Uh, Luxembourgians really love their black roofs. And once again, you can see the awnings, the stone awnings around the windows. Virtually every house in Luxembourg that was built before World War II has this feature, so yeah, that's something to look out for. Compared to Belgium, there's a lot less stone visible and a lot more pastel colors like white, yellow. You can see over there. Yeah, these colors around here. It's definitely a lot brighter. They don't like to show the stone so much. You
Yeah,
can,
pastel. Basically pastel.
yeah, yeah.
everywhere.
You can even see some shutters around here. As I said, you can see shutters in Luxembourg, but it's a lot less common. Also, they tend to be wood, like pure wood, like you see here, not painted white or colorful like we saw on those Belgian locations. Do you guys have anything to add?
Just notice the like the dividers in the windows, like you get in UK sometimes as well. It was in one of the buildings. If you go back to where you were like a few seconds ago. But yeah, keep going. And then look up on that, like, yeah.
Oh, there. Okay.
Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that is true. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit more subdivided windows in other parts of Europe as well. But I think in the UK, it's first of all it tends to be white, and second of all, there tends to be they tend to be a little bit more square, like more than rectangular. Like in the UK, they would probably probably add a extra horizontal line here to make to make them square. But it's a good point, yeah. And also,
Yeah.
and again, I want to point out the huge car doors on the sides of buildings, as we've seen in Belgium. They appear in Luxembourg as well. And you have some very intricate stone awnings, like you asked about RC before. It's probably the most intricate we've found so far. Yeah, I think we can move on. Yeah, Luxembourg just looks very similar everywhere because it's a small country, so that's probably not a lot done to talk about here. Another village, once again, you have the dark roofs, you have the stone awnings, you have the pastel colors. You have some actually lime, like really orangey or sandstone awnings on this building. It's also yeah, that's a big feature of Luxembourg that can help you distinguish it from Belgium, is that the awnings tend to be more yellowish colored than gray colored, like you would see in Belgium. Anything to add, guys?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, and we can move on to our final one, which is going to be a suburb of Luxembourg. You have a lot of these neighborhoods in around Luxembourg or like the other bigger cities. There's a big housing crisis in Luxembourg. A lot of people commute from the surrounding countries, so a lot of these developments were built a couple decades ago. Some of this looks a lot more modern, but you can still see the stylistic influences here. You have the black roofs. You have the mansard roofs because this is French influenced. They speak French. You have the Belgian style triple divided windows, and you have the stone awnings on some buildings. What stands out here that would help you distinguish it from Belgium, like southern Belgium, would first of all be the all black roofs. Like that doesn't happen that often in Belgium that you would have like every single roof would be black, like pure black. And second of all is that we can see no bricks. Like every house, or no bricks or no stone. Every house is painted like white or tan. They're really ashamed of their building materials over there. So yeah, that's probably the main thing to look out for in Belgium and Luxembourg. Anything to add, guys?
No.
I feel like in Luxembourg, like a lot of the buildings are taller as well, at least here, than in Belgium. Like you said, like Belgium has a lot of one or rarely two-story houses.
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah, yeah, because as I said, they have a housing crisis, so land is a lot more expensive here. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can actually see bigger apartment building here. Yeah, it's a good one. Nice. So I think that's about it for Luxembourg. Again, not a lot to talk about. So a small country, but I think it's distinct enough to really recognize pretty much instantly when you see it. So and for the final point of programming tonight, we're gonna move on to the Netherlands. I picked out a lot of locations here because there's actually a lot to talk about in the Netherlands. It's like a really surprisingly diverse country in terms of build styles, as well as like languages and everything. It's like it's actually really small and flat, but yeah, it's really interesting how they managed to develop some kind of differences. But yeah, let's start with a typical small town. This is Appingedam, up in the north in Groningen. This is like a historic center of a little village, and what's definitely striking first of all here is the bricks. Like virtually every house here, it's either brick or painted white. That's just like the overwhelming style in the Netherlands, either brick or white, at least in the older parts. Other thing I would mention is the windows here. You have these British style like divided windows, but they're a lot bigger. Like a really striking feature about Dutch architecture is that they really like big windows, and not just on modern buildings, but on older ones as well. Like you see, these windows are like gigantic compared to what you see on like a British building. Like, and these little ones on top as well. So this is a really tall room. The Dutch are very sun deprived, so
Yeah.
Other stereotypically Dutch thing I would point out here, which we should see most often in like historic centers, is this like fake front wall, which is made to make the house look bigger than like taller than it actually is, and there's actually a sloped roof behind it. You see this a lot in like Amsterdam or other cities. It was kind of like a prestige thing, so make the front of the house a lot more imposing. But you see it a lot in historic centers. And also another feature I want to point out is that almost every house here is facing the street at the narrow side, which is a very big difference from what you've seen in Belgium and the British Isles. That's because land has been really expensive in the Netherlands for like hundreds of years. So they're pretty limited to space, and so they made their houses very narrow and long. So a lot of houses are facing facing the street on their front facade with like the peak or the narrow side of the house. Yeah, and once again, a lot of brick and white elements. Do you guys have anything to add or anything that stands out to you?
Not really architecture, but like something that I really associate with Netherlands is the pavement with like where it's like those diagonal things that like go into each other, as you can see. I just
Oh
really,
yeah, oh yeah, right. That you're right. That's actually pretty. That's actually pretty distinctive for Netherlands. I can't recall what I've seen it elsewhere, and yeah, as you said, it's basically everywhere in the Netherlands, especially in old city centers like this, where it's designed to
yeah.
kind of slow down cars. It's kind of uncomfortable to ride a bike over, to be honest. It kind of gives a lot more resistance than asphalt, speaking from experience. Yeah. Also, kind of a Dutch thing, I guess, is like uh, what do you call it in English? Those things that you pull over the windows.
Oh, I should probably know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, these thingies are. Yeah, you'll also see them in the Netherlands a lot, especially in like older older cities with like a lot of businesses and stuff. Yeah. Very nice. Let's look. One more thing I almost forgot about is I think you'll see in the Netherlands a lot is this is like the roof sloping forward at the front of the house. It's like a very common feature in the Netherlands. I don't know why they did it instead of like building a fancy peak, but I don't know. I guess you're out of money or something. But you see it very often, especially in northern Netherlands. Like in big cities like Amsterdam, they usually have peaks, but here in the north, I guess they didn't care that much about showing off. So yeah, let us move on to a typical northern farmhouse. It's going north to south. This is in Paise, close to Groningen. I picked out a lot of examples from around Groningen because I've seen a lot of these in person, so I'm pretty familiar with them. This is the kind of farmhouse you find in like the general north of the Netherlands, in Friesland, in Groningen, in Drenthe. What kind of distinguishes from like these more southern counterparts is that they tend to be very wide. Because northern Netherlands is a lot more sparsely populated than the south or the west, so you have a lot more land to work with. So instead of a lot of small houses, there's typically a few like bigger farms around a specific area. So the farmhouses tend to be bigger, wider, and have this slope at the front.
It's a weird shape.
Sorry?
I was just saying it's such a weird shape.
Yeah, it is a really weird shape, but it's very distinct actually. Like you have it cuts upwards and then suddenly cuts off, and you have the sloped roof. Yeah, this is like a very distinct northern Netherlands style.
I'd never noticed the sloped roof thing, but yeah, now that you show it, like in cities and in rural areas, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely most noticeable on like these big farmhouses in the countryside. Maybe if we drive down this road, I'm pretty sure there's more examples that we can find. Paisa is a really nice village actually. Yeah, we can another one here. Again, very wide, with a slope, with a big slope. Like you see this.
Sort of weird shape.
Yeah, very weird shape is. Yeah. You see this like kind of slope at the top of the front of the building in other countries as well, especially Denmark and whatever. But here in the north, they really tend to be massive, like cutting off pretty low and just sloping up. It's just a very distinct thing for me. Always makes me go to the north in the Netherlands if I notice it. You can see it here as well. Another really weird shape, like you have a barn attached and it just starts sloping upwards at the front. Yeah, it is. I don't know. It's very weird, but I'm really fond of it actually. It's like a really interesting style. Yeah, so this is what I wanted to show off. It's probably the most distinct like style I could find in the Netherlands, so that's why I wanted to feature it. This is a northern village. This is in Friesland, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Bard. Probably not a lot. This is more like more of a generic Dutch village, to be honest. Uh, what to point out here again, a lot of bricks or white color. Not a lot of any other color or something like that. Brick church, red roofs. Pretty rare to see black roofs in northern Netherlands. Yeah, really big windows as you can see around here. And you can also see the slope on this building. It can be a little bit of a hint you're in the north, but it's not like foolproof. It'd be like if you're going for a really high score. And this building around here is what I would consider a very typically Dutch style, but I honestly struggle to describe it in a way that those kind of figures as really distinct. You kind of have to get used to that kind of look. Like you have darker brick color, which we'll see a lot more of in future locations. These lines in the bricks are especially what tips me off. This is Dutch style. Like that is such a typical Dutch decoration style. Like these are lines, white lines connecting the windows and other decorative elements.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what is typical for the Netherlands compared to like France or Belgium or UK is that the windows tend to be like painted pretty dark colors, like black or dark green or stuff like that, and combined with like dark and white elements. Like you see in this window, like you have the white outline and darker inner ring. This guy has dark colors as well. Typically, if a house has is mostly brick, they will have white windows, or at least like a white outer outline, and then a darker inner color. It kind of what makes it stand out to me from like Belgium, especially since in those countries those windows tend to be either all white or all dark. So I wanted to point it out, like the combination of white and dark in the windows. Anything else you want to add, guys, or mention? Did my... Okay. Yeah, very cool. We can move on to another location, which is gonna be a typical western or southern village. So, like probably the most common style to encounter in the Netherlands. This is in Gelderland, which is like the west or the east. Sorry. Here you can see the brick color is slightly darker than in the north, but it's not like super reliable outside of one specific area. But the average brick color tends to get a little bit darker the more south you go. You see more two-story houses around here, since the lands tend to get a little bit more expensive, but it's still mostly like one-story buildings, which makes it stand out to Belgium, because especially in northern Belgium, most of the villages are gonna be like basically assembled in like a row house style, like around the buildings. You have one-story houses, one next to another. Dutch villages, it's mostly individual houses that are like one story, and mostly pointed towards the road with their front side, or although every once in a while you get the occasional flexor that's pointing with the broad side. Yeah, and again you can see the combination of the white and dark elements on the windows. These white outlines of the roof are also very typically Dutch. You can see, especially here with the contrast with the dark roofs. That's also another hint that you're going south in the Netherlands. A lot more roofs are going to be like dark gray or black. Yeah, but the white outlines are actually really important. It's a very good hint that you're in the Netherlands. And once again, all brick or white at most. Yeah, anything else that stands out to you guys?
Really?
Okay, yeah, one more thing. Yeah. Also, you don't really see the sloping roofs around here. As I mentioned, like maybe on this house, but most of the houses most of the houses are like sharp, have like sharp peaks instead of the slopes. That is really more of a northern thing. Okay, let's move on. We have more of a proof of concept here. I want to look at a few particular elements. This is southern Netherlands, and you actually start to see some shutters around here, but they have like a very particular style. They tend to be either dark, like dark green, dark like black, dark gray, whatever, like very dark, or have this pattern with like the oh damn, what do you call this shape in English? Like a diamond? Yeah, yeah, like a half diamond shape.
Diamond, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very typical Dutch pattern. Like if you see a brick house with shutters like this, you're very likely in the Netherlands. That's something I really wanted to point out. It's a very distinctive thing. Fabric. uh, yeah. Also, another thing I want to point out is the once again the British style windows with the like square subdivisions. But once again, a lot bigger than you would see in Britain, or like most of Britain. It's like they're more like rectangular than square. Yeah. Also, one more thing I want to point out here is this house color. It's just more like beige. There's also a hint you're towards the south in the Netherlands. It's a little rarer than the red bricks you see elsewhere, but it does occur sometimes, and it's mostly in the south. So this beige brick, and we actually have a thatch roof here. The thatch roofs are actually like a common feature across like the entire coast of the North Sea, like Netherlands, where you didn't have a lot of wood, like the Netherlands, southern England, and Denmark. You sometimes see those on like all the buildings, but it's not that common. Yeah. Anything else you guys wanna add or mention?
There was like thatch outside of UK, really, but it's interesting.
Yeah. As I said, it's not really common, but it's interesting to mention because you
So,
don't really
sorry, Netherlands and Denmark, you said.
and Denmark, yeah. Yeah, especially in Netherlands and Denmark, like around the coast, there are fairly common like vacation houses and stuff because it's like traditional for the area. There's an island in Germany, I think it's Sylt or something like that, that doesn't have street view, but you're actually required to use a thatch roof around there. This is like the traditional building style.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like the wood on this house as well, the attached house.
Yeah. And again, you can see the combination of the dark and white elements on the windows, as I mentioned before. Yeah, this is like a really nice reconstruction actually. You have the modern part here and like the original part here. Really cool. I think Sylt is actually like the most expensive place to buy property in Germany. Because like all the rich people vacation there. I don't know why, because like if you're rich, why would you vacation in Sylt? But you know. Okay, this is another thing I wanted to point out is like a typical distinct element. This is the island of Marken in Holland, on the west coast. And it's this like dark, it's usually like dark green, black, green, whatever. It's like this wooden cladding on the sides of the buildings. And you'll see this virtually always close to the coast. On like the western and southwestern coast in like Holland and Zeeland. It's like probably to protect the buildings against the wind. yeah, it just looks very, very distinct, and I wanted to mention that it can be a really good hint.
I kind of like the colors though.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really colorful.
Especially when you contrast it with the white, it looks nice.
Yeah. It's really nice. It's really nice. Really desirable to buy as like vacation house as well because it's so unique. Also, you can see shutters here again to protect against the wind. Again, this whole darker or like dark and white color scheme. The Dutch really like their contrasts or like color contrasts. And you can also see again the subdivided windows and the white roof outlines. Very nice. Yep. Now we're moving towards a more regional style. This is going to be a village in Limburg, which is like the southernmost bit, like that Geoguessr that's sticking out of the Netherlands towards the south around Maastricht. It's probably the most distinct part of the Netherlands. Like if I see a environment like this, and I know I'm in the Netherlands, it's virtually guaranteed I'm gonna guess there because you can probably tell that this looks completely different than what we've seen before. Again, you have like all brick, but it's basically the only thing that really is similar to what we've seen before. Like all of these are facing the road on their broadsides. They're one story. You basically can see the white elements that you've seen on the other ones. The roofs are black or really dark. You even have a triple divided window here. And a huge card portal. So yeah, if I saw a location like this and I didn't know it was the Netherlands because I didn't have road lines or I didn't have plates or whatever, I would maybe kind of struggle here because I can't really think of anything that would make it obvious to me here that we are not in Belgium. Maybe like some more subtle things, like here on this window we have again that contrast between the dark and the white on the window. So that's a Dutch thing that you don't really see in the Netherlands. Once again, here you have red and white on the window. Again, more Dutch than Belgian. Belgians don't really play with the contrast
I
like
don't really
that.
see any window awnings. I think maybe that could be
Oh yeah, the
some.
awnings, yeah. But you don't
Uh,
really see the awnings in the north, to be honest. It's more of
yeah.
a Wallonian thing. It
Uh-huh.
also kind of looks a little bit neater, but that's a little bit more of a subjective vibe that you get. Like Netherlands is obviously richer than Belgium, and in general, like the roads and stuff is are in a lot better condition. So kind of a yeah. But yeah, if you know you are in the Netherlands because you played road lines, whatever, this is very useful because like no other region in the Netherlands look like this other than that like southernmost part. So you can farm a lot of points here. Like you even have a half timbered house here. You can virtually never see half timbered houses in the Netherlands. Like this is very much influenced by the proximity to Germany. So
Mhm.
yeah, darker bricks in general as well. Like especially on that house we saw. Yeah, you even have like the wooden cladding we saw in Belgium. It's actually pretty close to here. Yeah, you have like a clashing of like German and Belgian influences here. Like a super unique looking place. So anything you guys want to add?
No.
Yep.
Okay, so let's move on. And this is more Limburg. This is a Limburg, like smaller village in Limburg. Once again, I wanted to demonstrate how unique this is compared to the rest of the Netherlands. You see no bricks here; it's all stone, which by itself is like extremely weird in the Netherlands. Like, it was all bricks because it's just all swamp, so there's nowhere to get stone from usually. But this place actually has hills, so you actually have a place to get stone from. You have these huge portals. You have yeah, no visible bricks. Kind of more Belgian style houses, but once again you have the color contrast here with the inner parts painted white. Looks a little bit neater than generally you'll see in Belgium, like in a small village like this. I don't know, anything that would stand out to you guys here that would differentiate this from the Belgian locations we saw?
With the like tiles on the window, like at the bottom of the window on the house on the
here.
left. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah. You don't have any stone awnings here. That is true.
Oh, the other side, the other house.
Oh here.
Like it's brown. No, the other one. No, the one closest to you.
Oh, this one. Sorry.
Yeah, the one at the bottom. The windows at the bottom. They've got kind of like a brown. No. It's so hard. The one
the
north, the house north.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Oh, here.
The
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I think because the car's in the way, but I haven't seen that kind of like, I don't know if it's a tile or.
Yeah, I think it's a tile.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah. Personally, yeah, that is interesting to point out. Personally, what would tip me off here would be probably once again the contrast on the windows, the white and dark green or black, whatever it is. Also, I think in Belgium this kind of window would be triple divided, but it's I don't know, it's kind of an obscure thing. And yeah, that's basically it. This would be a really tricky location if you give this to me on a country stick and we didn't have the yellow plate there. Okay, anything else to add?
Yep.
I'm good.
Okay. So now we are gonna move into a more general urban location. I wanted to showcase this. This is in Maastricht, which is like the biggest southern city, and it's actually distinct from the rest of cities in the Netherlands by the color of the brick. Like it's very dark, as you can see here. Like it's really difficult to guess the city without moving in urban Netherlands. Like it's like virtually everything looks the same, which is like the consequence of the centrally like planned and built environments in the 20th century, especially. But Maastricht is actually very distinct from that by the virtue of these really dark bricks compared to what we've seen before. I'm guessing you basically notice it immediately. You could still have the typical Dutch elements like the white outlines, white windows, and the roof outlines in white, but yeah, the dark brick definitely stands out. So I just wanted to share that like as a tip if you ever get it on like Urban World. If you see a dark brick and you're now in the Netherlands, you go Maastricht. Any other thoughts, guys?
It's like typical Netherlands for me.
Yeah. This is like the.
But yeah, it's interesting to hear that the darker brick is like Maastricht area. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's what I want to mention it. Okay. You do get like this type of darker bricks sometimes in other southern cities like Eindhoven or Tilburg as well, but never in this kind of scale or like this shade of brick. Okay, let's move on to the cities finally. This is a neighborhood in Amsterdam, which is like the more like the outer city, where it's not as touristy as the city center, but you still see some people fishing for Instagram shots. This is like a typical 19th century development in Amsterdam or like any other big Dutch city. What differentiates from England or Belgium, despite the fact that once again it's all brick and white elements around the windows, would once again be the size of the windows. Like these are huge. They basically you can see they basically cover like floor to ceiling in these buildings. Another thing that points to Amsterdam actually here are these like cranes. Because like once again, these buildings are facing the road with their front. Like these are really narrow parcels because land was stupidly expensive here. So the stairwells are really narrow. So I think it used to be even a law like until really recently actually that you had to build like a crane that you could lift heavy things up and pull them through the windows. That's partially why the windows were so large, especially in the cities. So if you see this on the windows, you know you're very likely in like a big Dutch city. Like if you see it on a lot of buildings together, like this used to be a common element in other cities around the Baltic Sea. Like in Hamburg, in Tallinn, in Riga, basically basically in every like formerly rich trading city, like where the houses are really narrow, they used to have this kind of crane, and sometimes they still use like I've seen people like lifting up a couch to pull it through the window once. It's pretty funny to watch. Yeah, and aside from the large windows here, again, I would like to point to the white and black windows here. Very unique element. I don't know what else. What else stands out to you guys here?
The height, I think, as well. I don't know. Like I've been to Amsterdam. This just shouts Amsterdam to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No, yeah, I just said same, yeah.
Yeah. Amsterdam is one of those cities that's has a very distinct style even in the Netherlands, and once you've seen it once, you probably won't recognize it every time. But I've seen like people who are beginners who like kind of still struggle to recognize what country this would be in, so I wanted to mention that. Also, you see the kind of road tiling that RC mentioned here.
Yeah. I think it was on another round too, I saw.
Yeah. It is very common. It's super common. Okay, so that was 19th century. Let's move on to like the earlier, mostly it's like 17th, 18th century urban architecture. The Netherlands actually saw a huge like economic boom in the 17th century once they freed themselves of the Spanish. It was like the place to go if you wanted to like succeed in business, or you didn't really have anything else to going for you in Europe. You moved to like Amsterdam or Utrecht. Yeah, and most of the development comes from that era. And yeah, if you ever been to Amsterdam, this will probably look super familiar to you. You have these very tall and narrow buildings. You have the cranes. You have the huge windows. Not a lot that we haven't mentioned yet. In Amsterdam, also a typical feature is like these big fancy dormers, either on the front side or like very intricate fronts, with a lot of stucco work and stuff. Also, you can see the feature I talked about in Uppingham, in that small town, which is like this house like basically ends. It seems like it ends with a flat roof, but it's actually just trying to look taller than it actually is. It has a sloped roof behind it. That's a very Dutch element as well. Although it is, you can see it especially in like Central Europe as well, but it looks very different. Like this house style looks very different. Yeah, and once again, bricks, white color, huge windows. You can see a lot of black brick here, which is actually a unique element for the Netherlands, which is like houses painted white and black. It's either like black brick or black paint. I think that's pretty much unique to the Netherlands, like in this whole North Sea space. Like I don't think I've seen a lot of like buildings in the UK or Belgium. I know they occur every once in a while, but not a lot. Not a lot. Definitely a lot more common in the Netherlands, especially in Amsterdam. It's a very popular style in Amsterdam. Yep. Anything else you want to mention here, guys?
I wanted to add one thing that I'd like really associate with Amsterdam. Hold on, I'm trying to find a location right now. It's like at the top of the building, they have like this specific shape. I have no idea what like how to call it, but here, I'll
I
send
think I know what you mean. Wait, let me move to this
yeah,
place.
I sent a link of it in the stream.
If you look at stream, do you think? Do you mean this like gray stone house I'm looking at right now?
Yeah, the top of the house has like that shape.
Yeah.
And you
That's
see it
it's a
on
very
some
good.
other ones as well.
Yeah, that's
Also, the brick one on our side, it has that. It's like a kind of circular shape, but it
yeah
dips in.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's like a very it is a very tall central part, and like it kind of oh my god, what's the word? What's the English word I'm thinking of?
I
Like
don't even know how
yeah,
to explain it either, honestly.
yeah, it really slopes really steeply upwards. This is actually a feature in Baroque buildings. You can see this kind of shape in Baroque buildings all over Europe, but definitely Amsterdam is super common. Like it does look very fancy and makes your house look taller than it actually is. So this is definitely very interesting to mention. Like it's obviously most common in Amsterdam, but you see this kind of peak in other old cities like Utrecht or even in smaller cities like Harlingen.
Mhm.
Yeah, very cool. And yeah, here again you can see the fake floor basically, the slope roof behind the looks like it has a flat roof, but actually it doesn't. Yeah, very nice. So there was Amsterdam, and we're gonna move on to the post-war stuff, the endless suburbs, which you're pretty likely to spawn in if you play around on the Netherlands. This is actually an outskirts of Amsterdam, and this is like typical social housing from the 60s or 70s. Once again, what stands out: huge windows, like gigantic windows. Like you can basically see the entire apartment from here. And Dutch people also don't really like to use don't really like to use oh my god, I'm forgetting words by the minute. Like what you block the house, block the windows with.
Didn't you mean?
Yeah. They really don't like to block the windows, but there's also a social custom that you don't look into people's windows, so kind of works out. But anyway, yeah, huge windows, brick structure. Like the Dutch really don't like to work with concrete, so virtually every modern building you see is has a brick texture on top, white windows, bricks. Yeah, that's like the most typical form of Dutch apartment building you can find, like from the post-war era. Mm. Anything else that you guys would point out here that will make it distinguishable from like a uh, British housing estate?
I think the size of the windows are the biggest thing for me. Yeah, I could definitely see this like from where I grew up, like in Cambridge. Like the kind of brick looks very similar, the shape looks very similar, but we would never have windows that big. Um, so yeah. Also the stairs on the outside of the building we don't typically do. Like the building on the left there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we wouldn't do that. But yeah, it's really interesting.
yeah. The gigantic windows are the biggest hint in general in the Netherlands. Like the windows are huge, and you'll instantly notice it once you get it. Also, it's kind of a little bit more of an obscure thing, but again, you have the white and dark window element that you like to play with. You can see it here on a larger scale. Like you have this, I don't know, you have this like wooden or plastic part here that's painted dark green to differentiate from the white on this building. And yeah, also you have the outside door, outside hallway. It's also something you see sometimes in the Netherlands. Yeah, and this type of window, like with one huge uninterrupted glass pane and like 3 or 2 on the side. That's also a Dutch window, especially at this size. Like you can confuse it with British window sometimes, but at this size, it's pretty likely to be Netherlands. Yeah. Also, compared to social housing in a lot of other countries, like these Dutch modern suburbs are very park-like. Lots of trees, lots of grass, lots of greenery everywhere. It's very pleasant to live in, actually. It's boring, but very pleasant. Yep. Anything to add?
No.
Alright. Final two, guys. Please don't fall asleep. Yeah, here we have a interwar suburb. This is actually a neighborhood in Groningen I'm super fond of. Because this kind of... I don't know what I would call this. I don't know, expressionism? Like, I don't know, it's like this usage of like brick modernism was really popular in like England, the Netherlands, and northern Germany between the wars. That kind of thing, but like a lot of curves, a lot of different shapes, all wrapped up in a brick facade. It's just super appealing to me. But anyway, what I want to point out here are the bay windows. So you don't just see a bay window and automatically go Britain. They are also pretty common in the Netherlands, although not nearly as much as in the UK. But they do still appear sometimes, especially in like more modern buildings like this. But once again, you have the gigantic windows. Like it's way bigger than you would see on any building in the UK, especially in like a suburban location like this. And also, you once again see the contrasts, like you have yellow and blue and green and yellow, kind of that whole kind of thing. Anything that stands out to you guys here?
No, just like, yeah, it's interesting, the bay windows and stuff. And those kind of like walled balconies. They're interesting too.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're really like using the bricks in interesting ways. They still have the typical elements, like even the white roof outline here. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it was an interwar development, and finally we have probably the most omnipresent type of environment in the Netherlands, and that everybody hates, and it's the post-war suburb. This is probably for something like the 70s or 80s. And it's actually very similar to the UK, I would say. Like the windows are similar, roofs are similar. What really stands out here from the UK most would be the brick color. Like it's very beige. But a lot of these neighborhoods are also like the typical red brick, so it's not really a useful clue. I don't know, what I would probably find most useful here, apart from obviously the plates and everything else, would be once again the contrast. You have the green and white here, on the windows. That's like a very useful thing to notice if you can notice the contrasts. They're just left playing with those. Yeah, apart from that, also lots of greenery compared to most of these kinds of British suburbs I've seen. It most like a strip of grass, but not like grown trees and stuff. Especially Sam, what would you say differentiates this from UK?
Yeah, I think the houses to your left are they're like the outside of them are quite like similar to the Scottish location I showed you.
Yeah.
But the windows are, I think, the main difference here. Like the different coloured panes and the size as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the windows are generally also larger than we see in the UK, but not as much. Like I think I've seen a lot of neighborhoods in the UK, especially in England, where the windows are actually pretty large, so the difference is not nearly as big
Yeah,
as
and
elsewhere.
as you said, like the kind of blocked colour around the windows.
Yeah. I haven't noticed it actually for a long time, but like the contrast on the windows actually super useful clue for the Netherlands.
Mm.
I don't think any other country really plays with it like that. Yeah. So yeah, this is one of the big like social housing developments from like 70s and 80s. Because like in the like after World War, in like the 30s, the Dutch noticed that if they just let everybody build a house wherever they wanted, like basically the entire country would be covered by a sprawl, like what a lot of Belgium ended up being. So they kind of restricted it, like it was mostly under state involvement or like with a heavy, like built by private developers with a heavy consultation with the state. So it ends up we end up with a lot of like strictly contained, very uniformly looking neighborhoods like this. And it did. I mean, it was very boring, but it did keep a lot of the landscape open. So I guess they succeeded in that. One other thing I wanted to show you was actually Almere. This Voorburg, which is a suburb of Hague. These look basically identical everywhere. Like if you drop me in a suburb like this in Groningen and in like Bergen op Zoom, I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference. They were just built cookie cutter by the center plan. I want to show you Almere, which is like a really modern city. It was built in the first. It was actually established in the 80s, and so you have a lot more creativity, I guess, put into the different styles. Like here, for example, you have the wooden elements and different style of bricks and flat roofs and everything, and it basically changes every other street. This is what a lot of the more modern suburbs in Netherlands look like. Like still very uniform, like still row houses or at most duplexes. Still a lot of identical houses, but it's a lot more like the design's a lot wilder and they change every once in a while, like every other street or so. So I just wanted to show that off. That's a picture of the like 90s and onward.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically it for the portion that I think we're gonna manage to complete today. This took way longer than I expected. Oh my god. So yeah, we are gonna leave Northern Europe for next time, whenever that's gonna end up being. I want to thank you so much to Simerodge and RC for joining me and not falling asleep as I drone on about the windows and stuff. So thank you
I
guys so
liked it.
much.
I found it
No,
interesting.
it's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and obviously, thank you so much to everybody who tuned into the stream. I appreciate you very much. I really hope this was at least somewhat useful. Like you find some useful tips that you maybe haven't heard or noticed before. And you weren't too bored or fell asleep. I'm gonna try to cut this probably into two parts and like cut out the parts when I was talking to my family and stuff. and put it on YouTube. So if you missed it, you can rewatch it. And yeah, and we're going to continue with Northern Europe.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, won't keep you here any longer, guys. Again, thanks so much for joining me, and hope you'll join me for Northern Europe next time.